Do you dream of running a totally online business that has flexible hours and where you can work from anywhere? In this video, I'm going to tell you what exactly my advice would be if you were coming to me and asking me, hey, I want to leave my 9 to 5 or I want to pivot and do something else. How do I start an online business? What are the first steps that you would take and what would you do to get there? Then this is coming from someone who has built a multiple six-figure online business in two different niches over the past. I've been a business owner for 9 years now, which is crazy. I've been doing online business stuff for at least 5 years. So excited to dive in and to share with you everything that I would tell a friend if I was sitting down over coffee, like what you should do. Okay, so there's really almost in my mind like two parts to this plan. And the first part to the plan is to build momentum. And then the second part is to make a transition plan. So we're going to talk about the first part here, and that is creating momentum, like essentially getting your business going. Step number one here is to discover what is one thing that you're really good at. Okay, so when I think about the world of online business and people who are crushing it, and even people who are new, like creators and brands and business owners, entrepreneurs coming in and growing really fast, it's that they find one thing that they're really passionate about, like a topic or a niche, and then they start sharing about that on their preferred platform. And this could be anything from non-toxic living to maybe it is business, or maybe you were a lawyer and you create an online business based on that. Maybe you're really into health and fitness, or maybe you love helping postpartum moms. Whatever the topic is, it's finding out what is that thing? What's the thing that you already have a skill at, that you're already good at? Maybe it's something that your friends and family come to you and ask for help with that. Maybe it's what your previous profession was. Maybe it's what you built your credentials in and that you could turn into an online business. And so think about what is that one thing? And when you figure out what that one thing is and what you want to go for, it's then making everything you share on your platform or platforms about that thing. I really encourage personal branding as well, and infusing yourself and your personality into the things that you are sharing. But you essentially want to become that go-to person on that topic. And you can do this with a small Instagram audience. You can take your personal Instagram and start sharing there. If you want to create a new platform, my preferred platform is YouTube, and I have a free training on YouTube. I'll put a link in the description that goes way more in depth on using YouTube to grow your own business. YouTube is a great place to do that. It really to help to fast track that way, the way that people find you, fast track the way that they build trust with you, and that they decide that, yeah, you're the person that they want to go to on that topic. And it doesn't mean you have to teach stuff. It doesn't mean you have to be an educator of any sort, but really just having that topic and you become the go-to person on that thing. Once you decide what that topic is going to be, obviously you're going to start sharing about it, sharing your knowledge about it, sharing what you have to offer. And to go along with that, what I really recommend that you do is start an email list from day one, okay? I know a lot of people want to put this off. They want to see the views and the audience growth and all of that first. But what I really recommend that you do is make sure you're starting an email list, because that audience can be pulled out right from under you. You don't own your Instagram followers. You don't own your YouTube subscribers. You need to make sure you have a place that you own. When you build that list of people who are subscribed to your email list, AKA a newsletter, you own that list. No one can take that away from you. So I really recommend making sure you start an email list, okay? And that's going to include creating one freebie. I love using Flowdesk. That's called an email service provider that you can essentially host those subscribers on and send emails to, and also have them opt into your email list. When you type in a name and an email address, opt in, right? Essentially building out a list of people who are interested in what you have to offer so you can communicate with them outside of Instagram, outside of YouTube, outside of any other social media platform. I'll have a link to Flowdesk down in the description. That's where I recommend building your email list. It's very affordable, really beautiful emails, and really just a great way to get started as a creator or business owner wanting to grow online. I absolutely love them. So if you use my link, you actually get 50% off your first year, which is incredible if you decide you want to sign up for a paid plan. And I really recommend starting this before you even figure out what you want to sell and what your paid offers are going to be. As long as you know what your niche is and what your topic is and what that's going to be. When I pivoted into what I'm doing now, which is more marketing, being a marketing coach, like teaching people how to market their businesses online, I started building that audience an entire year before I even had anything to sell to them. And I think that's actually the best place to be. Like, it actually is better to have an audience who is so engaged with you and so excited for anything you put out, and then to launch something to them, than to launch an offer out into the world where nobody literally knows who you are, right? And it's not to say, like, if you already have something to sell, like, you can start selling that now. It doesn't mean you have to hold back from selling that, but it is better to have an audience. When you have an audience who is bought into you, you can do almost anything in your brand. Build that audience. Start now and build it with your email list too, so that you can actually launch something and get it out into the world and market it to them in a way that you don't have to fight algorithms, in a way that you own and that's there for the long haul. So with that said, you don't have to know what you want to sell before you start that, okay? So if you're still like, I don't really know, like, do I want to do like virtual assistant work, or do I want to do coaching, or do I want to do a course? Like, you don't have to have that totally figured out before you start your email list. Just start your email list, have one freebie to get them to opt in. Essentially, that's giving them something valuable in exchange for their email address. And that's going to set you in the right direction. And I actually have a video on my channel about how to start and build your email list. So I'm going to put that right up here. You can save it, bookmark it to go to after you're finished watching this video. I'll also put it down in the description. Okay, so step number 3 here under building momentum is to start posting consistently on your preferred platform, whether that's just Instagram, or if you decide you want to do YouTube as well. Start posting on those platforms alongside building out your paid offer, or alongside like thinking about what that's going to be. The mistake that I see a lot of people make is that they focus solely on what they're going to sell and building out an incredible paid offer, but then they have no audience to sell it to, right? Big or small. You don't have to have a huge audience. In fact, I have friends who have very small audiences. We're talking like 200 followers on Instagram and who make 6 figures in their online business. Okay, so you don't have to have this huge audience. You just need the right people and the right offers. Something that I think a lot of people neglect though is to engage that audience and to nurture them before they decide to launch something. Start posting consistently on your preferred platforms, really dive in and learn about those platforms and what works, and start doing it now before or even alongside of building out those paid offers. And as far as what kind of paid offer to make, when I think about someone in this place of like you have your niche, you have something you're building out, the biggest thing I can recommend here is to do an offer that is one-to-one. And I know we can get into online business and we're like, oh, like we just want to sell courses and digital products and we want to blow up, right? We want to like make all this money. But for most people, it's not realistic to start building a sustainable, predictable income based on online courses or digital products, because in order to do that, you generally do need to build a bigger audience and have larger visibility to build that type of business. And not to discourage you and say that it can't happen, but it's probably not going to happen as quickly. And so if the goal is to like leave your 9 to 5, or to leave, another job, or to change your business, my recommendation would be to start with one-to-one. So whether that is consulting or coaching or a one-on-one service or virtual assistant work in that niche, I would start with that, okay? And the reason being is that it's gonna be a lot easier for you to get like one yes every single month and to build out your client base than to get, 100 or 500 yeses to your lower ticket digital product or course, and to have the same exact amount of income. And yes, it is going to be in the beginning, like you're gonna be trading your time for money essentially, but it's gonna get you further to where you want to go, right? Like if you think about, you're still trading your time for money in your 9 to 5, you're essentially doing that, but now in something that you're passionate about. And then once you build that up, then you can turn that into a course or turn that into a digital product. And it's going to get you to where you want to go faster. Trust me. You're going to get to know your ideal client so intimately by working with them, whether it's coaching or consulting or services. You're going to get to know their pain points so well that is going to translate into you creating a better paid offer when it comes to a course, membership, digital product, group program, whatever it is you decide down the road that you might want to build out and you might want to sell as well. Doing more of that one-on-one work up front, in my opinion, is worth it. And it's going to lead to a business that is going to sustain you for the long run. And even for me, like I'm someone who's 9 years in, and to kind of give you a backstory, I've started as a photographer, started teaching other photographers, pivoted into business coaching, was kind of all over the place for a while. Like I grew really fast teaching about Instagram strategy. And then I branched off into also teaching YouTube marketing and email marketing. And then just this year, I almost kind of reined it back in and am focusing a lot on YouTube marketing and teaching business owners how to grow on YouTube. I have even found this year I've started doing more free one-on-one calls with people who I know are my ideal client, free coaching sessions that are like 30 minutes, but just for them to ask me any questions they want after they go through my course. And I cannot tell you how invaluable those are to me, even as someone who has already built a very successful business. I'm someone who likes having that one-on-one interaction with my ideal customer is still so incredibly valuable and so helpful for me to then go on and sell my course. I know we can see things online and be like, oh, I just want that like passive income, but even that passive income, there is a lot that goes into that. If I was sitting down with a friend and being really honest, where I would encourage you to start is with one-on-one work and find that topic that aligns with you. You have skill sets and essentially exchanging that skill set and selling that skill set and, someone hiring you for that thing, whether you're coaching them on it, whether you are helping walk them through it, whether you are doing it for them. In one of those capacities, that's where I would begin. And then once you have built out predictable income in that area, you can then leave your 9 to 5 and then you're able to build out other offers if you want to in that topic or niche that you have started in. Okay, and then that kind of leads me into part 2 of this video, which is going to be a little shorter than part 1, but essentially like how to transition out. Okay, so once you have your niche set and you start to see traction, your business is starting to grow, like how do you decide when to quit that 9 to 5? And I just want to be fully transparent here. I have never technically worked a 9 to 5. I've worked other jobs. Like I worked at Chick-fil-A in high school, and then I went to college full time for 4 years. And then once I graduated, I went full time with my business. But in that season, full transparency, like my husband, well, for the first 6 months after college, my business did pay the bills, but then he got a job after graduating, and his job paid the bills. And so like we were not relying on my business in that sense. But I will say that fast forward a few years, he quit his job in 2022. He's been at home full time with us since then, me and my girls. And when he was quitting his job, we were thinking more of through more of these things I'm going to share with you as far as like when was the right timing for him to quit based on how my business was doing, right? And again, everyone's situations and comfort levels are going to be so different, but there's a few things that I thought about and that I would advise you to think about. And that is number one, having predictable income for at least 3 months that you can see, okay, like, based on the clients you have, based on the work that you're doing, you are predictably making X amount of dollars. Okay. And that's why even with client work, it is easier to almost say that because you can see like I have X number of clients, they pay me this much every month or every project. And like I can say this is how much I'm making on average on a monthly basis. And that happening for at least 3 months, maybe even up to 6 months before you decide, okay, that's it. Like I'm quitting, right? I would say that's a big factor. Like make sure you have predictable income happening every month. After that, I like to have a savings in my business of at least 3 months, okay? And obviously, this is ideal. I've had seasons in my business where it's 6 months of savings. I've had even seasons where it's less than that, right? Having 3 months, essentially what you're looking for here is being 3 months ahead on your expenses and your salary you need to pay yourself. This is, again, looking at like the money coming in that's predictable and that you can predictably cover what you need bare minimum to pay yourself and pay your expenses for your business. And that kind of leads me into the other thing of paying yourself. And with paying yourself, that's going to be different for every person, right? Like I mentioned, when I didn't like go get a 9 to 5, I wasn't the one who was paying the bills. My husband was. But when he quit his job, I was going to be the one paying the bills. And so we were thinking a lot more like we had really big business savings. I had predictable income in my business. So it made us confident for him to quit. Versus when I didn't go out and get a 9 to 5, I wasn't in that same place of having this savings built up, but I also wasn't in a place where it was all on me to pay the bills. I didn't have this like bare minimum salary I needed to pay myself versus you might be in a different situation. It's going to look different if you're single versus if you're married and have kids. Like it's going to be different for so many people, but as a guideline, I would say you want at least 3 months of savings built up in your business. 3 months meaning the bare minimum you need to pay yourself and your bare minimum expenses. Have that saved in your business. And then depending on your situation, like for us, because like when my husband quit his job, it was going to be a lot more on me. We also had at least a few months in personal savings as well. So even if my business didn't pay me for a few months, we would be fine. On top of that, my business has savings, right? And so I'm also a lot more conservative than some people are when it comes to money and just making sure like that we're being smart about it. But it has served me really well because there's been seasons where I've needed that savings and certain things happen. Like one time my bank got hacked, okay? And so like I lost 10 grand in literally a day because of a hacker. And so having that extra savings though in these different pockets and areas saved my butt when that happened. That's a whole nother story for another day. Essentially, once you have kind of that proven income happening, once you have some savings built up, depending on your comfort level and depending on your season of life and like what you need there, then you can quit your job and like make that transition. And like I mentioned, like once you quit your job and make that transition, then it opens your time up to grow your business even faster. And what I will say is that there is almost this fine line of like, once you go full time in your business, you're probably going to start making more money in your business. And it obviously you can't guarantee anything, but you're able to pour more of your mental capacity, more of your time and energy into growing your business. And therefore, typically your business is going to see some growth, or even at the very least, you're going to have more capacity to take on that one or two more clients every month to kind of bump you up to where you need to be. So that's where I like to think about like, what's that bare minimum you need? Maybe it is cutting out a few things for a few months in your personal spending, right? So that you're able to make that transition, knowing that and trusting that like you're going to make that transition and make up for it because of the extra time you're going to have to put into your business. So, if you are wanting to learn more about that personal branding aspect, so kind of going back to what we talked about towards the beginning, one of the first things I would think about here is have that really strong brand, because you can have a great offer, you can have great messaging, but until people buy into you and who you are and you're able to develop that brand for yourself, it's going to be really hard to sell what you have to sell. So I'm going to put that video up right here. You can go ahead and watch it. You can click on over, watch that video next. If you have any questions, you know that we're here for you. You can drop it down in the comments, and I'll see you guys next week on Tuesday with a new video. Bye, guys.